Which is your, say, top influencer who you really look up to in terms of fashion?
I think it would be Masoom Meenawala. We worked with her in the past, and again we saw great results. But even personally, I feel very, very glamorous, still some bit understated. Built actually a very huge following both India and international. We did a campaign with Shraddha Kapoor, and we worked with her. We did these beautiful shoots, and she was wearing our products and looking gorgeous, right? And for years, Priyanka, like not just that year, right? People would come back, ask us on social or even in stores when I would be there. Oh, we're like, oh, Shraddha Kapoor ki saadi ab nahi mil rahi, right?
How has it improved sales in terms of conversions for you once these celebrities came in, like Shraddha Kapoor or Masoom Meenawala?
What it does, I think these are slightly, one is that whatever they wear, say, sells out. Now that's a short-term impact, right?
Yeah.
But I think it builds brand over time. Because today in the world where there are like 10,000 fashion brands, right?
Yeah.
How do I know what to buy from, where to buy from?
Yeah.
So these celebrities, they just add a lot of credibility to the brand.
Yeah. What are your current revenues and how do you anticipate that to grow in the next 3 to 5 years? What is that one message that you would like to give to the designers or design community today? Because, as you said, they're making sizes only for very thin women today, could be celebrities or people having really slim waists.
Yes.
So what is that one message you would like to give to them?
So I would really like to say that everything that we do, and I'm including us in it, right? We're all a part of like a larger, design world in a way. That everything that we do should come down with that message saying that, the definition of beauty is not to have like perfect people or perfect women with like skins that are flawless with how they look, because then that's what we're teaching everybody else, and that definition of beauty is making all of us, the other women who 99.999% women who don't look like that, right, essentially underconfident. Just because that's what we're selling, right? And which is what I would say that all of us together should seek to change. And we're seeing some brands globally kind of work on that mandate, where we're saying that, why can't we have, and here also you'll see a few plus size or like larger size models walking on the ramp, etc. So if we could have like a holistic view on that and say that why do our shoots need to look perfect? Why do we need to, what is even perfect, right? So just start questioning maybe some of those together as a community is what I think over the next few years all of us must do.
And in terms of fashion statements, like do you think certain designs work on certain body types because of the evolving trends that are changing?
Sure.
Would you want to give any advice on certain type of designs only suit certain types of bodies?
So I think there is no certain types for certain, like, only for certain bodies, but I do feel that there are some styles which are more flattering for certain body types. So I mean, there was say a peplum, right, like long back, which was in trend for a very long time, which was kind of tight to the waist, and then there was like a flare below that, right? Very, very well suited for people who had maybe slightly larger bottom, like if your hip is slightly larger, covers it really well, and then makes you look like slightly maybe like shrunk, like maybe a little bit. So essentially that's why I think there's no one-to-one mapping in a way that this for this, but I feel that all of us also, which we do, right, like there's so much in fashion, and then we'll all want to pick those 5 or 8 or 10 things that we feel look the best on us, and I think there is, like I said, there's no mapping, but definitely I think there is that thing of what looks good on your own body type.
Another interesting question I wanted to ask you, sustainability and fashion. Today everybody's talking about sustainable fashion, fashionable brands, and even sustainability, touching upon every walk of our lives. So do you think Indian market is truly ready to spend for sustainable fashion yet?
So Priyanka, absolutely not. Absolutely not, right? So I think there is a very, very small part of this country today who would think that, I am okay to spend even say 300 rupees more on a shirt because it's made using sustainable, organic resources, whether it's by virtue of fabrics or where it's made or job work or all of that. Very small part, Priyanka. We in fact tried that. We've tried to put in sustainable fabrics, make it a little pricier. We don't see any. So in fact, because it's more expensive, we don't see the sell-throughs being as good. So I would, with personal experience, say that while again even globally brands are adopting it slowly, only because anything that people are very price conscious, especially in this country, right? So the need or to kind of the awareness to say that it's all right, like let me buy less, but let me buy things which are sustainable by spending a little more. Is in a very, very small part of the country,
so
I feel.
I think we are way behind in terms of adapting to that trend.
But I feel it's increasing. Like even if I go to today an H&M store, I see their sustainable collection, which you didn't probably till 2 years, typically back, or you go to the Zara store. These are typical high street brands. So I think there it is catching up, but in very small parts.
And when you say that brands today are looking at sustainable fashion, how do they really balance cost versus actually being sustainable?
Yeah, so I mean, so say for fashion, sustainability would come in the form of fabrics used, the way the fabric's made and recycled, and then in terms of where it's made, right? Are you making it? What kind of like labor conditions do you have? What kind of factories do you have? Are you? So I think across the supply chain, we're saying, you know, and if you want everything a little better, you have to pay a little more, right, Priyanka? Like fundamentally, if you're saying my fabric has to be, I should be able to recycle it 100%, all of that, or I'm saying I want my factory to be, you know, to maintain certain norms with respect to how it should be, it comes at a cost, right? So now, is the consumer willing to pay that cost in this country? I feel a very small part. But globally, I can see awareness increasing. So I feel it's a matter of time that even kind of as we go along, as a community, we will probably be okay to pay a little more, but also be aware of the kind of what we're doing. Like if you're buying like 50 clothes a year, typically, you know, where are they going? They're going in some dump yard somewhere and kind of, so that, but that awareness I think is coming, and I think I can see a lot of the smaller D2C brands doing sustainable fashion. So on my Instagram, I typically every day I think find one brand that's doing that, but it's a slower journey.
But in fashion, you know, nothing goes as planned, because sometimes you can inventory is not getting sold, it could be spillage, it could be supply chain issues. So how have you learned to adapt and make the most of what you have and still be fashionably very you know, up with the market trend, like still be very you know, new and fresh, look fresh to your audience, because there's so much of, as you said, there are so many challenges that as a fashion brand you go through, because the trends are changing so fast.
Absolutely. So I think the answer to this is being closest to your supply cycles, right? Which is to say that your demand supply cycles, right? Which is to say that, which is why we're still launching thousands of products every week. So this is not to say that, you know, earlier fashion used to work on 2 cycles. There was spring, summer, there was autumn, winter. You would typically have 2 or 3 drops in a year, and then people would keep buying that, which means you're buying for 6 months or 3 months at least in advance, right? I don't know it's going to sell, not sell. I have that inventory today. Now the entire supply chain has moved to like real time in a way where we're saying, you know, do as low as 20 products or 50, like Shein, right? Like $50 billion company, right? Like they're also doing like as low as like 50 products per style, right? 50 pieces per style. So you launch with low inventory, you gauge demand, and then you kind of add that. So that is something that the entire supply chain in the last 10 years of fashion has probably taken like a 360 turn. In a way, it's nothing that it used to look like, but it's definitely a lot more effective and efficient today than what it's kind of historically ever been.
Got it. Now let's take a little, digress a little in terms of leadership. Would love to understand what is your leadership style, right? Today, when you look at balancing so many roles, leading, being a woman founder is of course not easy, because with multiple things that we juggle on an everyday basis. So if women founders would take say guilt-free sabbaticals, what would that look like to you, and what would yours look like?
Okay. So I think I am not a sabbatical person, Priyanka. Like probably, you know, everybody tells me, oh, our COVID time, and because, you know, you couldn't go to office that time, right? It was the best time. Like so many people tell me, right, oh, we were so relaxed, you know, we could be, you know, of course there was scare of health, but besides that, you know, we could, I'm like, it was the worst time of my life, right? Like, so I think it's not my, like I love what I do. And even on holidays, largely, you know, all the time connected, it's been very probably rare that I take that break, but I actually do a lot of meditation. So I follow Sadhguru, I do a lot of, you know, I do my daily Kriya meditation, all of that. So for me, you know, I would love to say like, you know, the beaches of Spain sound fantastic because I also love beaches. But I also feel like after like 3 days, I would be like, kam pe kya ho raha hai, right? But maybe for a couple of days, I would love for every year for me to be able to go to, you know, the ashram, you know, in Coimbatore, or, you know, something like that, which is probably, you know, something that helps me. I do it a lot, like I really follow it. So that would probably be like a wellness center, you know, kind of travel for that. So maybe those would be some guilt-free holidays where I don't feel the need to connect to work. But otherwise, you know, constant travel is, so whenever I am traveling out also, and, you know, kind of with family, etc., I find it very hard to not be connected.
Awesome. And does meditation really help you to get more clarity of thought? How has it really helped you in your journey of building the business?
So I think resilience is a quality that I think every entrepreneur needs in spades. Right, because you are going to go through so much, you know, and there is, it's also very lonely, right? You would probably have, you know, a few co-founders, 1 or 2 or 3, but besides that, there is nobody else who can relate to it, who you can share things with, etc. So I think, so for that, like, you know, just by virtue of being an entrepreneur in any capacity, right? going through so much mentally. So something like, say, whatever form of meditation works for you, which means calming the mind, like largely, right? Like in whatever form, I think is something that for me is that daily reminder of taking that 30 minutes first thing in the morning to just sit with myself and, just kind of get grounded. That, whatever's happening in the macro is happening, but just kind of stay grounded, stay focused, stay kind of remind yourself, why are you building, why are you doing what you're doing, all of that. So those 30 minutes in a day, like I would suggest that to everybody, like entrepreneur or no entrepreneur, doesn't matter. I think for everybody who's kind of building, who's dreaming, who wants to do things, larger things, I think it's a very good grounding. And even if it's for 10 minutes a day, if anybody comes to me, I'm like, listen, this is the first thing I'll teach you, right? Like spend 5 or 10 minutes with yourself, like every day, and just you'll see huge changes. It's not like it doesn't happen in one day. But you'll come back like a much more steadier, calmer, stable person. And like I said, because in hard times, it's very hard to stay like, focused. So that's something that I feel it really, really helps.
No, I think that's such valuable advice. I think that everyone needs, that kind of grounds you. I think that grounding, I completely relate to in terms of how it grounds you as a person. Now, when you're in entrepreneurship, there is a fine line between balancing assertiveness and being empathetic. So in leadership, these two traits often get juggled. So how do you really balance that fine line when you talk about being assertive with, say, your team? And still being empathetic with them?
So I think, Priyanka, I am the assertive, aggressive person, leader. And, like I said, there was no one to teach me. I started very young. I didn't have any role models at the time. I had to teach myself, whatever I did. And I think in that journey, probably, today, if I can look back and I'm like, probably being aggressive is the easier option because you can step back from emotion, right? So you can say, ye karna hai, and then kind of be like, karna hi hai, there's no choice. So I think I have built largely my entire career in a way, or this business, or just kind of being aggressive / assertive in many ways, like to the extent that my team is like, Shivani's favorite line is ho jayega. Like they tell me like everything is ho jayega, right? They were like, just I don't know anything else. Essentially that. So basically that. And then of course it's a lot of times up to the teams to be like, you've said it, we have to do it, right? So I think that. But I think as one's own maturity comes with time and age, and I think there's no shortcut to that. Now I feel after 12, 13 years of building this, running this, I feel I've started building a lot more empathy for people who work, like, if we do, like, say, last few days we're on, we're in early 1st August today, right? So our month end is it's long hours. People usually work through the night for a lot of nights, to the extent that I've like, give everybody a paid holiday on 1st August, right? Because kind of 3 nights people have not slept. And then our supply chain head will come back and she's like, you can't build that culture, and you can't do these things with large big people. And so I think there's that change coming that I can see if somebody comes to me and tells me कि मेरे बच्चे के admission के लिए मुझे आज जाना है, whatever, like somebody low down, somebody will be like, my again team will be like, इनको नहीं भेज सकते हम. I would be like, यार, it's all right, send that person, life's not going to change.
Of course.
So I think some of those things are changing, like, which I feel is, for me personally, a function. A lot of it is with respect to like how I'm growing and maturing. But early years, I think, very brash and aggressive.
Okay. And how has entrepreneurship taught you about setting boundaries? Because often the boundaries always get blurred between personal and professional life, because you're just hustling, you want to prove it to yourself, it's like you want to go, right? So how is that in your realm of things, or how do you manage personal, professional, and is there even a balance? Because we all talk about work-life balance, but ऐसा कुछ होता नहीं है entrepreneurship में.
There's no balance. That's bullshit. I actually don't think there's anything called personal professional balance. Especially if you're an entrepreneur. And I realized that very early when I started out, and I think it's also a personal choice, right? So no one's forcing you. You can get a government job. You can work X hours, go home, spend time with your kid. But I am choosing to say not do that. But what I do is that, because there is no boundary and there is nothing called work life. I have a son. I have a 5-year-old son. And what I do is I call him to office. So he studies in Noida, and so after school, like 2 or 3 times a week when I'm not traveling, he comes to office and spends a few hours with me in office. He has his own laptop, feels very important, sits through some board meetings with me. And
he sits in board meetings with you?
Yes. I mean, some important meetings at least, Our investors know him because, typically in the background I'm doing calls and he's standing and I'm like, I'm so sorry he's there, but they're all, so now used to it, right? So I think those kind of things where we're, that's where I'm saying that because I can't bifurcate and I can't build boundaries there, but I can integrate my family in terms of what I'm doing, like, make them, like, let them feel that they're building as well, and let them be a part of what I'm doing, because that I feel is probably for any woman, right? Like, because for men, it's, even if they're working all day and they're not there for weeks, nobody raises an eyebrow, right? It's like, it's, oh, you're working fantastic, like, it's like the best thing ever, right? And but a woman does that, you're like, you're not responsible, like, there's so many times I can't go to his school, like, there's some meeting, I'm traveling, I can't be there all the time, and so many times my son will be, he'll come and tell me ki mama aap baki mama ki tarah kyun nahi meko lene aate, aap ye kyun nahi karte, not to say anything about anybody, but just the larger thing that I can't be there all the time, but then that's what I tell him, beta mama ke office aate ho, yahan pe itte log kaam karte hain, this is what mama does, right? Aapko bhi karna hai. So I mean, so I just want to integrate him. So which is where I feel that for people who can't separate that part, which is to say that this is work and then I go home at 7 and I, it is do the other part, which is get your home to work if you can't, like, stop your work at any point, so that there is a way of integrating it.
Right. And what does modern feminism mean to you in today's context as a leader? Because so again, feminist is very warped. The way people use feminism is in a very negative way in today's, and it's kind of got pulled into every social media conversation.
So I think for me, modern feminism would be, asking, or, just kind of for all the women out there to be confident and to know that what they're doing, whatever it is, right, they feel that they're worthy and fulfilled right now, and which is why I don't want to define what that is. For somebody it may be working 15 hours a day, for somebody it may be taking care of their kids, or I mean, it ranges so much for women, right? But having that pride and sense of fulfillment in what you're doing, and I think that is, and nobody else should be able to come and tell you that, like, this is good, this is bad, you're not doing enough, you're doing too much, you're not there. There are so many things that, one, like, lives by, right? So just that, just simple, right? I'm like, you live your, like, there's one life, you live it the way you want, and you just end of it, like, every day you feel a sense of fulfillment in what you did. That's it. And nobody else should be able to pull you down, right? By saying that if you're working, you have a problem, you're not working, you have a problem, like, everything's a problem, right? So essentially that. So just having that sense, like, within you for all of us. And it's so funny that, we have to say these things because, like I said, like, men don't know these things, right? Like, it's not even a thing, right? So I think, but for us, like, just being able to know all of this we have to get it in our system, because we don't grow up like that. We don't grow up knowing or thinking that, we are going to be, we're always like, hum sab kaise karenge, kaam hoega. And even today, like, even with all my years of work, I still feel guilty at times, Priyanka. Like, there are 2 or 3 days in a week I'm traveling, right? And I don't get to see Abir, or I get late sometimes, he's asleep by then. And I haven't seen him the whole day, and I start feeling guilty. And, and I'm like, my, like, these guys growing up years, and after 10 years, he won't even want to, like, he'll be out.
And you're not able to spend that quality time with him.
A lot of times I do, right? And then I'm like, at least he will feel, if I feel happy and fulfilled, he will take that message, right, in his life, and he will understand that, like, what his mom was doing, and why she was not there at certain points. So so that's what and which is why I say that even if, say, you're a stay-at-home mom, right, and you feel great about it, and you feel great spending time with your kids and raising them, that's fantastic. Like, it works for you.
I think for me, you're so dynamic, you're so driven, and I think I just love your hustle, right? Like, you just go get a sort of an attitude. I think that's very commendable, after I interact with you. So when you talk about, building this entire large business that you're building with Indya, what does money really mean to you? And tell me, what is your larger purpose in life?
So money, Priyanka, in a lot of ways is comfort in a hygiene way, I would say. I think money beyond a certain point doesn't change anybody's, beyond a certain point, doesn't change anybody's sense of happiness, fulfillment, a lot of those things, I feel. Does it get all the comforts that you can get to live, like, to, again, like a base case, great food, great house, great travel, the few things that all of us kind of want. So I think for me, my relationship with money, which is why it gets limited there, which is where I say that definitely want all of that, will work hard to get all of that. But after that, which is, beyond a certain point, I think a lot of my happiness comes from just building. I love, like, building businesses. I love working. I feel a lot of sense of pride in that. So I don't feel that if my salary was 3 times of what it is today, I would change even one thing, right? my hours would be the
still
same,
be
my
building.
commitment would be the same. So which is where I feel that money beyond a point for me is not a motivator. Does it ensure comfort and like in a way that it's hygiene, right, for me? So it ensures that, but then beyond that, like, just love and passion for what you do on a daily basis is important. I also love, like, there's so much that we can do in terms of giving back. Like, we started like our first school today, actually, so it's a big day for us, for the underprivileged kids. Thank you. So so just that, it's our first school, it's our own school, it's India's first learning center for, like, and we had this bunch of like 60-70 kids from like rural areas close by, and just the sparkle in their eyes, just how happy it made them. And that's what I feel, that there is so much more to do beyond, so yes, money, yes, and because money can also get you all these things, right? You can give back, you can do a lot more. So I think it's a means to a lot of things, so 100% very important. But beyond that, for me, I think a lot of it comes from just doing what I'm doing, being able to provide opportunities to other people. So yeah, that's what fulfills me the most.
Awesome. And what is your plan with this school, with this underprivileged school that you all have started? Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so this is our first school. We've been associated with multiple kind of schools in the past, but we didn't have like a school of our own school. So this is our first school where we are going to be teaching kids from nursery to class 3, and then they kind of go to a larger primary school. And these are typically kids who would have not gone to school otherwise, because they're from migrant workers or places where a lot of the parents, we realize, are people who are like, jab bada ho jayega bachcha thoda bhej denge. They don't realize the importance of education at when the kid is 3, 4, 5, 6, which is very important learning phase of a child's life. So which is where we want to come in and say that, how can we, start these schools across the country, actually, where we can support kids from, say, nursery to class 3, give them 2 meals, which means that they're 80% of their nutrition, daily nutrition requirements taken care of. So that's the plan. First school, many more to do. So yes.
Kudos to that, and congratulations on
thank
that
you.
As well. Now let's talk a little bit about the cultural aspect of Gen Z and how they shop today and the evolving trends, right? So friend, when you look at ethnic to edgy wear brands and the balance that they have in terms of modernity and traditionalism, right? What's that one styling trend or mindset shift in India that is exciting you right now?
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of athleisure which is coming in, right, as a category where people are kind of blending comfort with looking like really, smart and, like modern and kind of well-balanced. So I think that is definitely one trend that I see Gen Z adopting a lot, like, where, college girls would typically want to wear like dresses and, want to kind of look like that. Like, I can see a lot of like athleisure coming in there.
Yeah, like dresses with sneakers. I've seen that.
Sneakers. I'm seeing like, tights with generally crop tops being worn across, like, just so many of these things which Gen Z is kind of adopting.
Yeah.
So I feel that is probably one trend that's like really evolved in the last few years, which people like, even at work, right? Like, you people typically seeing like, I mean, the rise of like, athleisure brands, of course, across the world. You're seeing a lot of it being kind of worn at work with different kinds of like, blazers and this and that. So I see that blend happen, where women for the first time are also looking at some comfort, which historically they haven't. So I think that's a good blend.
Awesome. And fashion inspiration in general can come from anywhere. So is there like a Bollywood celebrity that you look up to in terms of fashion, style and statement?
Yeah. So I actually personally love Alia Bhatt. And I, she's not like, say, there are so many women who would probably be placed higher from a fashion kind of perspective. But I think her, just style with respect to kind of blending some bit comfort, some bit super modern and out there, still looking very stylish and not kind of trying too hard. So I think there's a really, really nice blend of all of that. So I think a lot of, even our own inspiration when you're looking at celebs, etc., I think I would personally really say Alia Bhatt stands out for me.
And when you talk about, say, brands like, say, Kolhapuri chappal that has been in our wardrobe for generations, right? And it's been a staple in Indian wardrobes for generations and generations to come. So when luxury brands like, say, Prada launch themes as the next big fashion statement, often without any context or anything like that, how do you feel about Indian design actually being replaced or repackaged as a Western trend?
I actually feel, Priyanka, it's the biggest opportunity for Indians or Indian designers, Indian, retailers to actually, there is so much culture that this country has, right? So much culture. And I feel there is so much opportunity for, so I mean, imagine Prada's coming here and, with their team, which knows very little about Indian culture technically, right? And picking up a product and making it like a global story. And all of us here, we run large businesses. We could, we can do a lot more, like pick up Indian things and sell it globally. So for me, I mean, leaving the controversy aside, I actually feel that this is an example of an opportunity, and saying that, India, this country has so much. Like, can a lot of us build global businesses? Like, pick up something from Indian culture and bring it to the world. And I think that can be true for Ayurveda, that can be true for so much culture, like across the board that we have, like so many product lines. You'll see so many, non-Indian, like foreigners building businesses backed by Indian culture, Indian roots, Indian something, right? Why aren't we doing it? Right? We have all of it.
And I think you all are trying to do that same thing, the Make in India story with India
so
as well,
our
right?
entire business proposition is to say that how do we put India, our brand's called India, INDYA, like how do you kind of make India for the world, right? Everything Indian for the world. So which is where, for me, this is actually an opportunity. It's a representation to say that we have so much here. How can, we build on our own culture as opposed to people coming from the West and building on it.
Awesome. So Shivani, I was keen to ask you, social media plays today a very important role in terms of perception building, in terms of the way we shop or even explore brands or even shop for brands today.
Sure.
So how has, say, Instagram or the influence of micro-influencers, macro-influencers really reshaped the way women shop for Western and ethnic wear today?
Yeah, so I think, Priyanka, huge reshaping, huge influence. Today, when we talk to our customers, almost 80% tell us that they discovered us on Instagram. That is a huge percentage, right? From like a discovery point of view, that, where are you getting your customers to first see you? And it's almost always social media. So I think, so one is that, where are they discovering brands? And that is almost everything's moved to different parts of social media. But I also feel in terms of influence of, what do I buy? Because there are unlimited products, right, in a way. Now, what do I buy is getting a lot influenced by what you see on social, right, which could start with celebrities, which is the biggest influence in a way, and the whole influencer community, right? And today, micro, macro, between them, you're looking at like, thousands and thousands of like fashion influencers, right? And we work with a very large community there. And we see massive reach through them, right? You'll typically work with like, maybe 5,000 people in a month, and you'll send out your products, and there will be, the number of people who'll come back, and I'll see people wear it, and, kind of hear about our brand, etc., like go up in that proportion. So which is where, I really feel that today's women, like today, how people are shopping is by, especially women, they are looking at what's happening globally, and there is so much global like influence also, especially on Western wear today, to see what's happening. So I think it's completely changed how women shop. I think it's a huge influence on how we are looking at buying products, what brands we're looking at, by what are people saying about those brands.
So are you guys running ads, or what are you all doing in terms of
so we
your
do
marketing
everything.
campaigns?
We run ads. We run ads on Google, Facebook, Meta, etc., the usual platforms. And then we do a lot of influencer marketing, right? So like I said, thousands and thousands of influencers every month we work with across the world. So they get our products, they wear it, they put out like posts on that. So we do that, and then we work on the brand piece, right? We work with, we do a lot of messaging, we talk about the brand, we see how we build that. So we use all channels, yes.
Awesome. And which is your, say, top influencer who you really look up to in terms of fashion? In terms of fashion.
So I think it would be Masoom Meenawala. I have, we worked with her in the past, and again, we saw great results. But even personally, I feel very glamorous, still some bit understated. Very built actually a very huge following, both India and international. So huge respect, I think, at a very short, in a very short time, like built like, a lot of credibility for herself. And personally, I feel I definitely would look up to her.
And any particular campaign that has really garnered you a lot of impact when you did a campaign with Masoom Meenawala?
So I think with Masoom, when we done our work, so I think the products that she wore, right, and how she puts it across, how she wears it, like all of those products typically sell out within a few days. So that is so definitely, so it's not just for the product, but like her talking about a brand itself, like lends a lot of credibility to the brand, any brand, right? So which is where I feel that like for us, that's a huge, win. But more than that, I also feel working with Indian celebrities for our audiences works really well, right? So we did a campaign with Shraddha Kapoor, and we worked with her. We did this beautiful shoots, and, she was wearing our products and looking gorgeous, right? And for years, Priyanka, like not just that year, right? People would come back, ask us on social, or even in stores when I would be there, we're like, oh, Shraddha Kapoor ki saadi ab nahi mil rahi, right? So I mean, that's the kind of impact that you see with these influencers, whether it's a celebrity or like a macro, like,
and how has
big
it
influencer.
improved sales in terms of conversions for you once these celebrities came in, like Shraddha Kapoor or Masoom Meenawala?
So what it does, I think these are slightly, one is that whatever they wear, say, sells out. Now that's a short-term impact, right?
Yeah.
But I think it builds brand over time, Priyanka. Like people, it just increases reach. It gets like people start viewing you, because today in the world where there are like 10,000 fashion brands, right?
Yeah.
How do I know what to buy from, where to buy from?
Yeah.
So these celebrities, they just add a lot of credibility to the brand.
Yeah. And what kind of messaging do you want to consciously put out as a brand? Like House of India, when you talk about your brand, what kind of messaging would you like the world to know about you?
Yeah, so I think I would really want every customer that we have to think, or everybody to think essentially that India is a brand that makes every person, like a woman, a man, like everybody we cater to, look and feel the best version of themselves. And it's a brand that gives back to the society. It's a conscious brand. It's a brand that understands what Indian wear really is and really put it out to the world and say like we understand our culture, we understand our roots, and we want to kind of put it out there to the whole world.
Awesome. So what's next? What are the 3 years looking like in terms of the business? What are the new initiatives, projects, fundraising plans you all are working on currently?
So lots in our hands. We're growing quite rapidly now. Of course, both our domestic and international business is doing very well. So we will be looking at building the ethnic wear side very aggressively. Largely online first, like I was saying, both in the country and outside the country. And then we will be looking at some large stores, Priyanka. So these would typically, wedding wear stores, not just in metros, but we'll be going to tier 1, tier 2, all of those places, which are where I feel like the demand is very, very high and the supply options are very limited. So that's what we'd be looking at from a business perspective. So top level, but lots to do. On the fundraise side, we are largely well capitalized. We do keep doing smaller rounds as and when there is a funding need. So we'll probably do something on that, but again, nothing very large in the short term. We are a profitable business, so our capital requirements are also not too many.
What are your current revenues, and how do you anticipate that to grow in the next 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, so we'll cross about 250 crores now in annual revenue, and so we're expecting that, of course, to one would hope for it to kind of grow at 30 to 50, 40 to 50% year on year from here. So that's what we're expecting. We're, like I said, there is so much to do across brands, across channels, etc. So that's what we'd be focusing on, yes.
Amazing. So wishing you lots of luck on that journey of building the business ahead. Shivani, and just one last thing before we wrap up the show. This show is all about those breakthrough moments that founders or leaders have had in the business of scaling up or raising money. Right? So what has been that one breakthrough moment in your entire entrepreneurial journey that keeps driving you forward even today?
Yeah. So I think, Priyanka, for us, for me, it would be COVID. I think, when COVID started, like I said, we had a couple of, 1,200 employees, no revenue for many months, no significant revenue, and a very, very young child at home. And so for me, I think it was very hard, to the extent that there would be some points where I would be like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I've done what I could. It's not working out. And I can't go to office tomorrow. Like, to that extent, like, I'd cry for 5 hours. It was just like, really hard. And even thinking about it now, it's like, makes me teary eyed. But so some really like hard times. And I feel like, for many months, one would typically feel, and this is a 2-year journey, because our business was very severely impacted, because we were also a wedding wear, Indian wear company, right? So there were no weddings, there were no occasions, there was nothing, right? So we were really badly impacted. And many, many times I would, like I said, really be like, this is it. This is it. Like, I've spent 8 years, I did what I could, and that's it. And I think, but there was just something, like I said, I have a 3-week rule, but I was like, if I feel like this for 3 weeks, I will do something about it. But that would typically last for 3 days, right? And then on the second or the third day, I would be like, this is what I love. This is my baby.
Just a phase.
I mean, when you're in that time, sometimes it's hard to tell yourself that it's going to pass. So I think what would keep me going was just that day. I would be like, I would wake up and I'd be like, I have X hundred people relying on me, right? Like, I need to go to office. And I will just think about today, right? I don't need to think about 2 months, 2 years, 20 years. I will just get past today. And I spent many months doing that, Priyanka, where I would wake up and say, I will just get past today and ensure that whatever best I can do, I will do today, right? So I think those years probably, they changed me completely. I was, like I said, I was, young, aggressive, brash entrepreneur, sab karna hai, like, have to like go on. It made me mature. It made me a lot more focused. And it gave me that resilience to be like, if I got past this, I will get past anything.
No, more
And I
power
think,
to you,
yeah.
Shivani. Thank you for
Yeah.
such being so candid and such an insightful conversation. And, thank you for just being you, I think. So, guys, we've come to the end of the show, and I think we've had a phenomenal conversation with Shivani Poddar today. And I think her authenticity and, the story that she's brought out today was quite phenomenal for me. I think a lot of learnings. So, if you have liked our content, please follow us on Breakthrough Moments with Priyanka Bhatt. Follow us on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Instagram. Till then, keep building, stay tuned, stay inspired.